So I saw Blue Beetle the first day it was available. I saw it on the Thursday previews, which was on the 17th. Today's the 19th. And this whole video is about Blue Beetle mostly, but just kind of the DC as a whole for their movies this year. I feel completely out of touch with the majority of the critical reception, but I thought this was almost terrible. There's like just a couple good enough things in it that saves it from being just terrible. Which is mostly Zolo, I forget his last name, but the main actor is really good as Blue Beetle. I thought he was really good. And Jaime, who he plays, has enough to his character, like just barely enough to where he's interesting. But yeah, I just thought it's a really good family movie. I said this in my Letterboxd review, so I'll be echoing a lot of stuff in there. But it's just covered by so much shit. Plot threads that are set up, and then they go in the most boring place with it. They don't do anything interesting with it. Villains that come in and out of the story without any rhyme or reason. Nothing really feels cohesive. Yeah, it's just really disappointing to see DC go. It's hard to even like say DC is going in a terrible direction because it wasn't even that bad. It was just extremely mediocre, and most people seem to be having a good time with it. You know. Yeah, I just had so many problems with it that stopped me from liking it because I'm exactly the demographic for a comic book movie. I love comic books. Superheroes are great. But yeah, it's just seeing the reception for this. It has a good score on Rotten Tomatoes, good audience score, good critical score. Most YouTubers seem to be having a good time with it. But it's just so tired. It's all so tired. It's Shazam and Iron Man mixed in together. That's exactly what it is. It's just Shazam, but every single plot point, every single beat is done worse. And what's even more bizarre to me is not just the critical reception to it, but the fact that Shazam 2 came out a couple months ago. Not that long ago. And people tore that fucking movie apart. If you were there, for those that like follow, have a pulse on the reception of things and how people are liking things, people ripped Shazam 2 apart. People acted like this movie was one of the worst superhero movies to come out. People, dude, I was so blown away to see the way people flipped on Shazam. Not just Zachary Levi, the actor, but the movie, the franchise between just 1 and 2 in general. Because it really wasn't that much different than the first one. The first one people really liked it. I remember seeing that in the theaters too. And it made a good amount at the box office. I think like 360 worldwide. And Shazam 2 comes out. It has the same charm. It has a little bit of a bigger budget. I think 20 million more. It's got the same threads, but the whole family has superpowers now. That's really the only huge difference. And people ripped it apart, and it only made, I think, 130,000 worldwide, not thousand million, worldwide. So it made about half as much as the first one. It was liked about half as much, and man, dude, people people act like this shit is like Morbius. It was just bizarre to me seeing. I mean, everyone has their own opinion, everyone has their own taste, that's fine. And it's so weird, you fast forward to Blue Beetle, and people love this fucking movie. And it's funny because for every 2 reviews, there's 2 more that say, yeah, it was good, I enjoyed it. It's kind of, part of its parts are mediocre, parts are generic, but I still liked it. Like, they even acknowledge that the negatives when they're talking about the positives. It's just, every single thing here was Shazam but worse. A character gets superpowers that they don't want, they don't know how to use. There's this weird entity that is telling them what to do, the wizard in Shazam, and then whatever her name is, the AI. And the family eventually finds out. The family eventually helps out. Big CGI battle. But Blue Beetle was worse in every fucking way. It was just so frustrating. And seeing people like this movie, like, just, I don't know, man. Shazam 2 just did not deserve that. I thought that the Latino aspect, whatever, was done pretty good. Sometimes it feels like they're just checking a box. But the setting of, I'm pretty sure it was in Mexico, was a cool setting. It was different than most superhero movies. So, if you're a Blue Beetle fan, this movie, I haven't read the comics, but I'd assume this movie gives you fucking exactly what you're expecting. And that's why I didn't like it. It was just, CGI schlock can be, I mean, I love CGI schlock. I like big action movies, okay? I went and saw Fast 10, and I enjoyed Fast 10, even if it had so many problems. It's like, there's literal toilet humor in this movie. Like, his sister goes into the bathroom, says, like, keep an eye out, whatever. Jaime starts talking to the villain and then the eventual love interest. And then his sister comes out and is like, oh, what a monster dump I took. Dude, I have no idea how people are loving this shit. I don't know. The 14-year-old in me probably would have loved this. But, oh my god, dude. As a 21-year-old, I don't remember the last time I rolled my eyes so many times. I guess during The Flash. The Flash would probably be the last time. His family helping out is an interesting idea. I like that idea. I mean, I haven't even mentioned George Lopez. George Lopez was great. He was probably the best part of the movie. I enjoyed his relationship with his dad, even though it felt like his mom was kind of sidelined and it wasn't really all that fleshed out. But the family helping out is a good idea. I really like that. And they linger on it so much in the way that his grandma has a big machine gun or whatever, which is funny. That is funny. That's a fun, like, whatever, give his grandma a gun. That's funny. But they linger on it for so long. A lower angled shot with the gun and then his grandma in the frame, and they go on for so long, and it's like, please, it's like begging you to laugh at it, like, please laugh, the grandma has a gun, guys, isn't this funny? And you know that you have a dialogue between Jaime being like, well, grandma, I didn't know you could use a gun, and grandma's like, there's a lot you don't know about me. Just like, it would have been so much funnier if the grandma just had a gun. If they just gave her the most oversized, overpowered gun, and they didn't acknowledge it, they didn't say anything about it, no one in the family even acknowledges it, that would have been great. I would have loved that. It was just I rolled my eyes, guys, like you would not believe. Um, there's two main things that really bothered me. One is the grandma, and the other one is the villain. Specifically at the very fucking end. The very end. The very end. Oh, man, dude, I'm just in awe at this movie. They go through the big battle, whatever. Jaime has his swords or his blasters, whatever. And he's about to. Like he wants to kill him, and then the entity, whatever, stops it. And the entity that talks to him is like, "Oh, I read his memories whenever we morphed together, or whenever we were connected. I read his memories." And then you get, oh my god, you get the most, oh my god, dude, the most egregious, please care about this character flashback I think I've seen in a really long time. Right when he's about to kill him, right in the middle of the final battle, they, oh my god, dude, they flash back to him being kidnapped by the main business lady, being experimented on, this and that, and you're expected to care. Like it's treated like a weighty moment, and it's like, okay, I see the parallels between him and Blue Beetle, but where was that the whole rest of the movie? What the what I genuinely, dude, I was so. This was the most I rolled my eyes in a theater this year. Probably The Blackening and Fool's Paradise give it a run for its money, but that's a terrible compliment. Yeah, it's like, why? Explain to me why you wait until the last 5-10 minutes to give the antagonist of this story any sort of characterization. Yeah, you see that he has robot stuff, and you see little glimpses, but it's not with like in the earlier parts of the movie. But it's not enough. That's not enough. You can't just hint at things and then in the last 10 minutes, okay, here's your payoff. It's like, or here's your explanation. Not really payoff, but why didn't they do that during his first battle with the antagonist? Or why didn't they open up with that? Like, they even open up with the villain. One of the first shots are of the villain, and they decide to give him any sort of story or anything at the very end. It's like, okay, well, this whole movie we've just thought he's some dumb grunt, and you're treating this as some sort of epiphany or some sort of huge plot point that is monumental within the story. Dude, the whole narrative here is just about as weak as it comes. They have his dad pass away once the attack on his house starts. And then they have a flashback scene with his dad, which admittedly is really good. I really liked that scene. But it just felt like the first 30 minutes, we'll do the family stuff, and then we can hand wave that, and then we'll go to the superhero stuff. And it never balanced either of those two correctly. It never leaned into one, more or less. It just tonally was all over the place. Two things specifically that I mentioned in my Letterboxd review that would make this way better is if they fleshed out the villain a little bit more. Just don't wait until the last 5-10 minutes. This guy's not the Joker to where it's more interesting if you don't show his plot. It's not that sort of scenario, and maybe make it and really lean into the opposite, the flip side of Blue Beetle, like this guy being taken over by something and using it for the worst, while Jaime does the opposite and he does things for the better. Um, um, yeah, it just didn't know where to commit. It's like, okay, we're gonna have this family stuff. That'll be the focus in quotation marks, and then we'll have Jaime right here. He's also the focus, but then Jaime is also he's close to his sister. We'll have that dynamic going, and then also he has this love interest, and she's somehow connected to the villain, and the villain will also focus on a tiny bit as well. And you have these 4 or 5 connecting dots, and it just did not know where to focus. It was just like boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, you can't pick one thing. You can't even pick 2 things. This movie was frustrating. Dude, coming out of the theater, I'm talking to this guy that I was also talking to, sitting in line for concessions, and we were both seeing it, and we were talking about the DC or whatever, and this and that. Come out of the movie, and I was like, did you like it? And he was like, yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. And then, I just said, whatever, I feel like certain lines could have been changed, or they ended on a weird line. I was like, yeah, for the most part, I liked it. What the hell am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to go into this rant? Am I supposed to go on everything I didn't enjoy about it? It's like, I don't know, man. Sometimes you just feel bad raining on someone's parade, So I'm glad what seems like people are enjoying it for the most part, and it's working for them. But there are some good aspects. The CGI, when the CGI schlock is in full form, it's fun. I mean, seeing Jaime fly across the city and fight the bad guy, whatever his name was, it was fun. And the family stuff is charming. But I don't know, man. I'll watch Shazam 1 or 2, or I'll watch Ben 10 again. Just bizarre. I hope this was a good review and it wasn't too unhinged. For those who do watch this, thank you. Thank you, thank you.